Introducing Annalisa Stalling.
Hello. Okay, so today we will be discussing plot elements. This is your plot diagram. I consider this a mountain of some sort. I don't know what kind of mountain you'd find. It's very uneven. But this is the base of your mountain before you start climbing up. What is that line called in a story, Lily? Exposition. What? Exposition. 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 Now, the exposition is the very, very beginning of the story. Very beginning. Nothing really happens. You find out the characters, and setting, and blah, blah, blah. Now, as you start climbing up your mountain, before you reach your doom of death, just kidding, you don't die on a mountain, unless you're Regan. So, what is that climbing mountain thing?
Rising action that I'm probably going to die at.
Rising action! The rising action is you're climbing up to that very tip-top point where everything in the story happens. What is that tip-top point called, Jaden Ellis?
Climax.
That is called the climax. The climax is the very tip-top point. You've reached every issue, because, when you climb a mountain, it's pretty difficult. So anyway, as you're going down the mountain, what is that called, Lily Gone?
Falling action.
Falling action! So the falling action is where you're starting to climb down off that big issue that's happened in the story, and you're kind of calming down. Everything's just kind of, you're just kind of going down the slope. Things are just taking, you're taking a breather. And the very last thing on the mountain is when you reach and you go home to eat food. What is that called, Regan?
Resolution.
Resolution. This is when the whole story is just wrapped up. Not all stories are wrapped up. Not all of them have an ending, because there could be a part 2 to it. Or it could just be a really, really dumb book where it kind of just ends in the middle and you're just like, what happened next? And then there's no other book to it, because you know what? That makes people mad when stuff like that happens. So, anyway, we are going to have, first, let's go over. What's the first one, Lily?
Exposition.
What's the second one, Jaden?
Rising action.
What's the very tip-top point, Regan? Climax. What is the next one, Lily?
Falling action.
What is the last one, Jaden?
Resolution.
So, again, if you find one of those really, really dumb books that just end in the middle, just drop the book, burn it. Just do something with it. Don't keep reading it, because it's a waste of your time. I assure you, it is a big waste of your time. Reading in general is a big waste of your time. I could be watching Netflix or, eating. But no, teachers make me read. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Books are not important, kids. That is what we're getting from this lesson. Books are not important. Next to Little Red Riding Hood, Lily Gone! Presenting Lily Gone! Lily's going to be reading the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Thanks.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak, so everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they'd seen each other. That's a good idea, her mother said, so they picked a nice basket for Little Red Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. When the basket was ready, the little girl put on her red cloak and kissed her mother goodbye. Remember to go straight to Grandma's house, her mother cautioned. Don't dawdle along the way, and please don't talk to strangers. The woods are dangerous. Don't worry, Mommy, said Little Red Riding Hood. I'll be careful. But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flowers in the woods, she got her promise to her mother.
Go, Lily.
She picked a few, watched the butterflies flit around for a while, listened to the frogs croaking, and then picked a few more. Little Red Riding Hood was enjoying the warm summer day so much that she didn't notice a dark shadow approaching out of the forest behind her. Suddenly, the wolf appeared beside her. What are you doing out here, little girl? The wolf asked in a voice as friendly as he could muster. I'm on my way back to see my grandma who lives through the forest near the brook, Little Red Riding Hood replied. Then she realized how late it was and quickly excused herself, rushing down the path to her grandma's house. The wolf, in the meantime, took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at Grandma's and knocked lightly on the door. "Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in, come in. I was worried sick that something had happened to you in the forest," said Grandma, thinking that the knock was her granddaughter. The wolf let himself in. Poor Granny did not have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf let out a satisfied burp, and then poked through Granny's wardrobe to find a nightgown that he liked. He added a frilly sleeping cap, and for good measure, dabbed some of Granny's perfume behind his pointy ears. A few moments later, Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped into bed and pulled the covers over his nose. "Who is it?" he called in a crackly voice. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood." "Oh, how lovely! Do come in, my dear," croaked the wolf. When Little Red Riding Hood entered the little cottage, she could scarcely recognize her grandmother. "Grandmother, your voice sounds so odd. Is something the matter?" she asked. "Oh, I just have a touch of a cold," squeaked the wolf, adding a cough at the end to prove the point. "But grandmother, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, as she edged closer to the bed. "The better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "But grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "The better to see you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "But grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, her voice quivering slightly. "The better to eat you with, my dear," roared the wolf as he leapt out of the bed and began to chase the little girl. Almost too late, Little Red Riding Hood realized that the person in the bed was not her grandmother, but a hungry wolf. She ran across the room and through the door, shouting, "Help! Wolf!" as loudly as she could. A woodsman who was chopping logs nearby heard her cry and ran towards the cottage as fast as he could. He grabbed the wolf and made him spit out the poor grandmother, who was a bit frazzled by the whole experience, but still in one piece. "Oh, Grandma, I was so scared," sobbed Little Red Riding Hood. "I'll never speak to strangers or dawdle in the forest again." There, child. You've learned an important lesson. Thank goodness you shouted loud enough for this kind woodsman to hear you." The woodsman knocked out the wolf and carried him deep into the forest, where he couldn't bother people any longer. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma had a nice lunch and a long chat.
Presenting Jaden Olivia Ellis. She's going to be describing what parts are the exposition in the story, which parts are the rising action, what parts are the falling or the climax, what parts are the falling action, and the resolution. So, we'll hand it out to Jaden. Everybody clap!
Okay.
Woo! Go Jaden!
Okay. So we have the characters down of who they are. Little Red, Red's mother, Red's grandmother, and the big bad wolf, which is not very nice. Okay, I'm going to explain to you, like Anna said, the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, and what part of the story it is. So for the exposition, the first part is when Red is getting ready to go to her grandma's. So I'm going to write that right here. Okay, so Red getting ready to go. Okay. And then the rising action part of the story is when she is in the forest picking the flowers and the wolf comes. So that's like the rising action. So we'll say in forest. And then the climax is when she is what is it? Oh no, we're gonna have to cut this part out because I'm thinking right
When
now.
the big bad wolf ate her grandmother.
Yes, and then the climax is when the wolf goes inside the grandma's house and eats the grandma. So wolf eats grandma. Okay. And the falling action is when, or the climax is so when, and then Red comes and she's talking to Grandma. Okay, and then the falling action is when the wolf finally, who's gonna write F-A, is when the wolf finally tries to eat Red. So wolf tries to eat Red. And then the resolution is when, so let's write resolution right here since it's the best part, is when Red calls for help and the huntsman comes. I think that's what it was. So when Red screams and Mr. Whatever, so we'll just name him Mr. comes and helps. And Red gets her grandma back. Okay, so that's about it, and yeah.
Hold up, Jaden. You're telling me that's it? All you have to do?
Yeah, pretty much that's like all of
You forgot the falling action. Ah,
it.
forgot the. Where's the rising action? Ah, okay. Yay, Jaden! Clap, everybody! Clap. Regan, clap. Regan. Yay!
We hope that this video helped you and that you can now identify plot elements.
If you couldn't get enough info, that's a shame.
Hope you enjoyed! Clap, everybody! Regan, clap!
No.